Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into some really unsettling territory. We've gathered a collection of true accounts, stories about stalking, obsession, and that awful creeping feeling when you realize your safety, your privacy, it's just gone, shattered by someone's relentless, unwanted attention.
And what really ties these stories together, I think, is this idea of forced intimacy. It starts maybe small, maybe awkward, but then the perpetrator just pushes past normal social cues, deliberately breaking down boundaries.
Right, forcing a connection that isn't wanted.
Exactly. The victim often stops being seen as a person and becomes, well, an object for their fixation. It's a chilling slide from maybe weird interaction into something truly dangerous.
Okay, let's dig into that. We'll start with a story that hits close to home for many young adults, a university campus setting. This first one involves a student and someone we'll call the obsessive classmate. It began, as the victim recounts, with just trying to be polite. This classmate walked with them after class, kept asking about their dorm. It was a fancy suite, apparently.
Ah, that politeness trap.
Yeah. So, to get rid of him quickly, the victim agreed, very reluctantly, to just show him the suite for a second.
And that's often the first step, isn't it? That little compromise.
Yeah.
You feel awkward saying no, you don't want to be rude.
Mm-hmm.
But the stalker reads that compliance, that yielding of personal space as permission, as a green light almost.
Totally. So the victim gives this super quick tour, trying to rush him out, turns away for just a moment, maybe to put down a bag or something. And when they turn back, the classmate is just standing there, utterly silent, framed right in the bedroom doorway.
Wow. Just standing there.
Yeah.
The victim, trying to regain control, sort of fumbles.
Yeah.
Says something like, oh, I was actually just about to take a nap, hinting heavily. But the classmate doesn't take the hint, doesn't even blink. Instead, he comes out with this line that just sends shivers down your spine. He says, that's okay, I can watch you sleep and help you with it after.
Oh, that's incredibly invasive. The objectification is just blatant. Right. Watch you sleep. The victim immediately kicked him out, locked the door, and just prayed that was the end of it. End of the semester, end of the creepy interactions.
That specific phrase, watch you sleep, it completely strips away the victim's agency. It sets up this voyeuristic power dynamic purely in the stalker's mind.
But it wasn't the end. Fast forward a year, the victim's on a public bus, a route they don't usually take. Late at night, everyone else gets off. It's just them and the driver. And the driver starts talking, asking questions, but they're weirdly specific. Which apartment building is yours? What classes are you taking this semester?
Uh-oh. Alarm bells.
Big time. The victim's trying to be vague, give non-answers, but then the driver switches tactics. Starts talking about his family, about his son. Says his son was in the victim's math class last year. Says his son told him all about them.
Oh no, the connection clicks.
Exactly. The victim has to ask, right? Was your son the obsessive classmate?
And the driver
confirms it with a smile. Then he suggests, hey, you should come ride bikes with me and my son sometime.
That's layering another level onto it. Using his position, his relation to the original stalker. It's almost like a tag team.
It felt like it. The victim's thinking, okay, gotta get off this bus NW. They head towards the front door as they approach a stop. And the halfway door slams shut, that internal door on the bus. The driver stands up. He's physically blocking the main exit, and he insists, you have to come ride bikes with us. It was pure entrapment.
Using the bus itself, his authority, as a cage. That's terrifying.
The victim realized arguing was pointless. Scared, they just agreed, okay, I'll ride bikes, but the driver still blocked the door. He says, give me your number first, then I'll let you go.
A test. A demand for proof of compliance.
Yes. And he was suspicious. The victim gave the number and the driver immediately pulled out his phone and dialed it. The victim had to watch their own phone ring, save his contact right there. Only then did the driver finally move and let them off.
That verification step, dialing the number right there, it confirms it's all about control, proving he could force that information out of them.
The escape was just the beginning of the immediate aftermath, though. Multiple missed calls followed. And then a voicemail. Nothing on it, but the sound of the driver breathing.
Chilling. That silent breathing. It extends the intimidation beyond the physical encounter. It says, I'm still here. I can still reach you.
The victim was so traumatized they completely stopped using public transport, saw the driver back on the same route a year later, and just couldn't risk it. Avoided buses altogether after that.
Understandable. The feeling of safety is just shattered. That cycle, the authority figure enforcing control, the anonymous threat, later it's designed to break you down.
Okay, so from being trapped in public, let's shift to the place you should feel safest. Your own home. This next story is about the window man. And the victim lived in a first-floor apartment. It was warm, so they were sleeping on a mattress out on the balcony area, but it was enclosed right next to these large windows. One night, they wake up, but it feels weird, like sleep paralysis, can't move, can't scream. They look towards the windows.
That paralysis state often accompanies intense fear.
And they see maybe like a third of a man's head and a hand just peeking through the window frame, and the hand is slowly, silently closing the window, like someone trying to sneak out without being heard.
Wow.
They finally break out of it, wake up fully hysterical, check the window, it's locked tight. They manage to convince themselves, okay, it must have been a nightmare, a really vivid, terrifying nightmare.
But sometimes the body knows, doesn't it? You mentioned they woke up for seemingly no reason before the second incident.
Exactly. That's what's so unnerving. Weeks go by, they've mostly pushed the nightmare aside. Then, one night, around 12:30 a.m., they wake up again. Suddenly. No noise, nothing specific, just awake.
Primal instinct kicking in, maybe?
Yeah.
Sensing a presence?
They look towards the windows again, and this time, it's not a dream. There's a tall man halfway through the window. One leg is already inside, almost on the floor of their apartment.
Oh my God. Inside?
Inside. He looks up, sees the victim is awake, his eyes catch the light, and he gets this slow, horrifying, ear-to-ear grin, brought a finger to his lips and whispers,
Shh. It's pure dominance. Don't react. Don't make a sound. I'm in control here.
The victim didn't obey. They let out what their mother later called a blood-curdling scream. It startled the intruder so badly he stumbled, almost fell back out the window. The victim scrambled to slam the window shut and lock it. But the man didn't give up immediately. He started trying the next window over, yelling excuses like, I thought this was my friend's house, while still trying to get in. The continuous screaming finally scared him off.
The fact that he tried the other window, even after being discovered, it shows intent. And the victim later realizing the initial entry, opening the window, climbing in, it was completely silent. That points to experience, or at least careful planning, not just some random drunk guy.
That silent entry is terrifying. And it connects to our next story, this one from the UK. Another home invasion, but maybe a bit more brazen. The bay window incident. This was a student house. The victim was in a ground floor room with a really big bay window. The only way to even get to the window was via the house's private driveway.
So theoretically, quite secure.
That's what she thought. Grew up somewhere safe. Felt a bit naive, maybe. She had the window open, just a tiny crack for air. Curtains were open, too. Late at night, she looks up from her bed, sees a shadow past the window. Then a second shadow. Two distinct figures walking towards the back of the house. She waits. Maybe a minute passes. And then only one shadow comes back towards the front.
Okay, that's methodical. One stays back, maybe as lookout,
Yeah.
while the other checks the rear, or vice versa. It suggests planning, coordination.
She froze, realized she was being watched, cased out. Then suddenly this loud bang on the window, like someone threw a rock, trying to shatter the glass.
Aggressive, not stealthy like the window man. This is brute force.
About 30 seconds after the bang, a hand reaches around the edge of the curtains, yanks them back violently, and she sees a figure actively climbing halfway through the window already.
Straight in.
Instant fight or flight. She didn't even think, jumped out of bed completely naked apparently, and just ran upstairs screaming, woke up her roommate.
Smart move, get away, make noise.
They called the police. Nothing was actually stolen, but here's the kicker. The police found the bay window forced open as far as it could possibly go. She'd only left it cracked an inch or two.
So they physically forced it wide open.
Yep.
Clear evidence of attempted entry.
Yeah, and while the police were there, a call came over their radio about a similar attempted break-in just down the street moments before. Confirmed it wasn't paranoia, it was real, and likely interrupted only because she reacted so fast.
It's that violation, isn't it? Your home, your bedroom, breached. And the physical evidence removes any doubt. Terrifying.
Okay, let's shift focus now. Away from homes and campuses, out onto the open road, and back in time a bit, before mobile phones, before easy communication. This is a story from the 1980s about a couple on their honeymoon driving the Bruce Highway in Queensland, Australia.
Remote roads back then.
Yeah.
Very different level of isolation.
Exactly. Driving late at night, long stretch of bushland, totally isolated. Suddenly, headlights appear behind them. A car speeds right up, tailgates them super aggressively, high beams blazing right in their mirrors. This goes on for maybe 5 minutes. Then just as suddenly, the car drops back, way back, like a kilometer or two behind them. Silence for 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, that's not just aggressive driving. That's playing with them.
It felt like it, because then, boom, the car speeds up again, right back on their tail, high beams on. This cycle repeats, tailgating, dropping back, speeding up again. Pure psychological torment.
That's a technique, actually. Intermittent reinforcement. Build tension, release it slightly, then slam it back on. It maximizes the fear, keeps the victim constantly on edge. Psychological warfare on wheels.
Finally, after repeating this a few times, the car floors it, flies past them. They get a glimpse. A white sedan looked kind of generic, but crucially, no number plate. It just disappears up the road into the darkness.
No plate. That's always a bad sign. Intentional anonymity.
They feel a moment of relief. Maybe it's over. They drive on, maybe a bit faster now. They round a big, sweeping corner in the road. And there it is, the same white sedan, parked smack bang in the middle of the road, facing them, high beams still blinding them. Both car doors are wide open.
Oh, an ambush. A roadblock.
And standing right in front of the car, blocking the road, is a large man. Arms spread wide, physically trying to stop them, force them to halt right there in the middle of nowhere.
Jesus, that's primal fear territory. Trapped on an empty road.
The mother just screamed at the father, "Just hit him! Go!"
Adrenaline response.
But the father, amazingly, kept his cool. He didn't hit him. He swerved violently around the passenger side of the parked car, so close they nearly clipped the man standing there and just gunned it. Floored the accelerator, hitting like 130, 140 kilometers per hour, didn't slow down until they saw the lights of the next town.
Incredible driving under pressure. But the trauma.
Exactly. And here's something that speaks to how deeply it affected them. Years later, when Ivan Milat, the backpacker murderer, was finally caught,
Milat. Known for targeting people on highways.
both parents independently saw his picture and felt certain. They said, that was the man on the road. Now, evidence never placed Milat in Queensland during that specific time frame, but the fact they both made that connection shows how terrifying, how predatory that encounter felt. It scarred them.
It becomes the face of their worst fear, whether it was literally him or not. The experience itself was that close to what they imagined the worst kind of predator would do.
That kind of determined predator, it takes different forms now, too. Which brings us to our last story, a much more modern kind of stalking. The online harasser, the digital doxer.
Yeah.
And this one started over something so incredibly minor, an argument in a YouTube comment section.
Like the modern battlefield.
The argument was with some guy claiming to be like a world-class chess player who also, bizarrely, openly admitted in the comments to having narcissistic personality disorder, NPD.
Okay, that admission is actually quite important contextually. NPD often involves an extreme reaction to perceived slights, a need to win at all costs, and a lack of empathy. An online argument could feel like a major personal attack to someone with NPD.
Well, this guy certainly reacted extremely. The victim says he basically made ruining their life his full-time job for about 4 weeks.
Wow, full time.
Yeah. The victim had tried to keep different parts of their life separate, online different accounts, but this stalker spent apparently hundreds of hours digging. He found almost all of them, and the level of obsessive detail was just staggering. He somehow found the victim's PhD thesis in mathematics, so we're talking dense, highly specialized stuff.
Okay.
He read the entire thing, hundreds of pages of complex math. Why? Just so he'd go to online forums and publicly criticize the victim's research methodology.
Dedication. Malignant dedication. Reading a whole PhD thesis just to weaponize it in an online spat. That's not about the argument anymore. That's about dismantling the person's credibility, their identity.
Exactly. It was psychological warfare. Daily notifications popping up. His full name, details about his location, his personal life, all plastered everywhere. The stalker even dug up and reposted stuff the victim had posted online like 5 years earlier, just relentless digging and exposing.
That's classic doxing, taking private information and spreading it maliciously to cause harm, fear, and humiliation. It's designed to make the victim feel constantly watched, exposed, and powerless. The sheer volume of it, the daily barrage, it's exhausting and terrifying.
The victim said the psychological toll was immense, just constant anxiety, knowing this person was obsessed, digging into every corner of their life. The only relief came eventually when the stalker apparently just shifted targets, found some other online chess player to harass, and moved on.
Which tells you something important, right? If the obsession was truly personal, about the victim themselves, why switch targets? It suggests the obsession might be more about the act of dominance, the feeling of control derived from the harassment itself. Once that need was met, or maybe when the victim stopped reacting in a satisfying way, the stalker needed a new source.
That makes sense. It wasn't really about the initial argument at all.
Likely not. It was about power, control, and maybe validating their own fragile ego by tearing someone else down. It's deeply disturbing.
So looking back at all these stories, the university student, the window man, the couple on the highway, the online victim, there's this thread, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's that theme of forced intimacy we started with, but also the terrifying randomness of it sometimes. Victims targeted just for being there, for a brief interaction, or for simply existing in a space the perpetrator decided belonged to them.
And the impact is profound, long-lasting.
Definitely. You see paranoia, trouble sleeping, a loss of trust in people and places that felt safe before. And that constant nagging awareness that so much of your life, your details, might be out there, accessible to someone determined and unstable. It's the loss of anonymity, the feeling of being unwillingly dragged into someone else's twisted narrative.
Yeah. The horror really lies in realizing you're not in control of your own story anymore, in their eyes. So the key takeaway here maybe is that these aren't just one-off freak occurrences. They represent patterns of obsession, of boundary violation that adapt to the times, from lonely highways to online comment sections.
They escalate and the methods change, but the underlying drive to control and terrorize remains chillingly consistent.
We hope this deep dive into these horrifying true stories has, well, maybe made you think. Maybe look over your shoulder, just a little. If you found these narratives compelling and maybe a bit unsettling, please consider supporting the channel. You can do that by hitting the like button, sharing this story, and definitely subscribing to the Horror Docx channel. We do explorations like this regularly into the macabre and the mysterious. Thanks for listening.